Okay, my name is CSM Stalker, and I will again be your instructor from Bro Nation's SASR unit. So we're going to touch on to the second stage of Jtac training today, and where we're going to touch on how to call in for artillery support. Remember, a Jtac is defined as a joint terminal attack controller or forward observer, but for our purposes, it is anybody who is carrying out the action of calling in for uh, support, whether it's CAS or art. But let's look at the artillery. So, let's get those little side things off. All right. So first of all, we have to look at what the key we're going to be using for all this is. So we start off with all our marks are going to be done in yellow. So get that little objective marker down to make this read nice and clear for you. So first things first, it needs to be in yellow. Next thing we're going to do is it has to mention that it's artillery. We don't mention it as a fire mission because we don't want there to be any confusion between artillery assets and CAS assets. This is why we differentiate a color scheme. That's why we differentiate whether it's a CAS or art in the fire mission name. Okay, now moving on, we want to include the designator. Alright, so you can tell the difference between my fire mission and someone else's fire mission. And the next stage we are going to put in is going to be the ordnance. Alright. Sure, someone's going to tell me my spelling is wrong. Google it. Alright, so we've got yellow, great, art, yep, designator, yep, ordnance, yep, and now we have to do something like a FAD line. Alright, so FAD's for the pilot to know which direction he's attacking from, but for artillery, we want to give them the type of mission. Alright, and these types of missions are divided into WTL, which means walk the line. This is effectively a walking barrage, meaning that you hit at one point and you keep shooting across a straight line. Or a FTB, which is a fill the box, or otherwise a saturation area. Alright, so let's have a look at this in practice. I am going to put down, again, we'll take that 206 area. We're going to assume there's some bad guys there. Alright, so we are going to put in a line. Now, let's say these bad guys are somewhere, they're pushing down a bit above that 206 feature. We've had some reports where there are some bad guys there, and let's say our friendlies. On this next, down the bottom here, they're at the bottom of this hill, they're around that 67, 65 meter mark. Alright, and they're having a bad day. They're not going to win that engagement, not with that terrain. So they've called in for artillery. So the way they're going to do it is they're going to make a line, and they're going to do about a 100 to 200 meter area. Anything more than that's generally a waste. Alright, so we're just going to draw a line, and we're going to mark this with a dot on the end of it. Alright, so again, left control, left shift, hold down your left mouse button to drag it, make a straight line. And we're going to call this artillery. We're going to give it a designator, so it's going to be example 4. We're going to request the ordnance, in this case, because it's a walk the line mission, or rolling barrage, 9 times out of 10, you can get away with HE. Alright, so it's HE, high explosive. It has effectively a 35 meter area of effect when the rounds hit, and we're going to explain that we want this to be a walk the line mission. Okay, and that's our marker, and the way we're going to call that over chat is we'll just paste it in, but because we're using a abbreviation, not every single guy who gets on the artillery piece has done formal training, so he might not know what you mean when you say WTL. So we're just going to type it out in full. So we do our copy and paste, and then we just go walk the line. We ask them to confirm splash. Splash, so we'll get into it in a minute, is effectively them telling you how long until the rounds hit. Alright, so confirm splash. And again, this is a training video, so please ignore. Alright, so this is what we've done. Alright, we know these bad guys are coming in, and we've gone mark the marker, and we've gone, okay, we want this to go from east to west, west to east. Art, example 4, HE, walk the line, put it over chat, and then a guy would have then responded, and his response will be something along the lines of Art, example 4, HE, walk the line, splash 35 seconds. Alright, so his example of writing this would be as follows. he's going to do what's called a readback. So he's just going to confirm the mission. So he would go art, example 4, HE walk the line, and then he's going to say, like say 35 seconds, if that's what it is on the artillery computer. Ignore training video, and I just keep putting this in just so people on the server understand that it's not an actual fire mission they have to worry about. Alright, so that's how that works. Alright, pretty simple. Now, the next thing that's going to happen is after the first round is hit, he's going to keep firing rounds. So, ideally what should be happening is you should, if you're on the artillery, you want to be firing effectively at least 2 rounds per 100 meter square. Okay? And this should give you a fair, effective coverage of that entire line. Now you've got 8 rounds per reload on your artillery for the most part. Two seconds. Alright, so for the most part we understand this, so it's going to be 35 meter spread, bit of a gap, 35 meter spread, bit of a gap, so on, so on, so on. So he's fired 6 rounds over 300 meters. He should cover most of that in the HE. Alright. So once he's requested the mission, and you've gone art example 4 HE walk the line, the guy's going to respond art example 4 HE walk the line 35 second splash. Right? Then you want to know when all the rounds have been fired. So his next response for this is going to be art example 4. He doesn't have to repeat the ordnance. He doesn't have to repeat the fire mission type. He's just letting you know he's referencing your mission, and he's going to tell you when all the rounds are complete. All right. So, what does this mean? It means that splash is how long until the first round hits. Rounds complete means that he has fired all of his rounds. It doesn't mean they've hit. It just means the last round has left the barrel of his artillery piece. And that is effectively a heads up for any pilot to let them know that, hey, between where the firebase is and where the mission area is, there are going to be shells translating through the air. And it's probably a good idea to not cross that imaginary line. All right. Now, the final thing you're going to say is all splash complete. And the way they're going to do this is same thing. He'll art, he'll give the designator, and then it's just going to be art, example 4, all splash complete, right? And so what we've done here is we've told the guys who've called in the artillery that we've gone, yep, we've seen your fire mission, we know which fire mission you've requested, we know what ordnance you've requested, we understand the type of fire mission you want, and we've given you a splash time. Then we've told you when we finished firing all our rounds, so you know there's still rounds incoming. They haven't all hit yet, but we are no longer firing any more rounds. And so if anybody else has a fire mission, we are now able to act on those other fire missions. And then splash complete means that that fire mission that I'm referencing, not only have we finished firing all our rounds, but all the rounds have hit the target. Meaning that at this stage, depending on what ordnance we used, you should be green light to just go straight through that fire mission if you want to. Alright, now HE is an instantaneous effect. It hits the target, it explodes, 35 meter spread. White phosphorus is anywhere up to like 75 meters, and it burns for like somewhere between 15 to 25 seconds, depending who you ask. So my rule of thumb is, if it's white phosphorus, wait 30 seconds before you try to move through that fire mission. Anything else, you pretty much go straight through. Alright, so that's the first part. That is the walk the line section. Now, for those of you who are astute, you would have seen that the base where I'm at, the map's just gone live again, fresh map. I actually got engaged and dropped by some VC, and I'm a big boy, and I can get myself back up, and I'll get myself in the cover, and we'll move on to the fill the box section. So bear with just a moment as I get myself out of the area of fire, and we can move into the SASR bunker. And here we go. Alright, so moving back to the map. Alright, so what we're going to do now is what's called a fill the box mission. So let's take the same example. We've got four guys in this little valley. We've got some bad guys operating somewhere around this area here, and we believe that they are moving in force down this line. And we've had pilots fly over, we've had lots of green traces, and we believe lots of bad shit is happening around here. So what can we do for this? We're going to call in a fill the box. So we know that the average guy using artillery is going to fire 1 round per 100-meter grid. We train guys to fire at least 2, but the average player is going to fire 1. So if you want to do a box mission, you need to be effectively at least calling in a fire mission that covers a 200 by 200 meter area. But in this case, we're going to do ourselves a nice 400 by 200, right? Nice big box. We might even just make it a 1200 meter grid. All right. So this is our box mission. We know the bad guys are in this box, so they've been reported to us as being somewhere in this box. And what we want to do is we want to completely destroy anything that's in here. So our fire mission is going to read as follows. We're going to put our fire mission above it, or below it, or to the side. And it's just going to go artillery. To the next part. We've got a yellow, good. Designator. In this case, it's going to be example 5. Then the ordnance. Now, because we're doing a saturation mission, we want to kill everything in there. We want to use Willy Pete. It will destroy light vehicles. It will burn through fauna. It is fantastic. It's not going to do much against light tanks, but it will destroy almost any other light vehicle, and it will definitely kill all your troops. And more importantly, white phosphorus, when you're doing a fill the box mission, will deny that area from movement for any infantry for, like I said, about half a minute. So it's pretty fantastic for this. The type of mission is going to be a fill the box mission. And that's it. That's all we need, right? Art, example 5, WP, fill the box, meets all the criteria. Right, yellow, yep. Art, yep. Designator, ordnance, type of mission. We're groovy. So let's fill that in. Now, we're going to request this over the map, right? So, again, abbreviations aren't always copacetic for everybody, or easily understood. So we're just going to type it out as fill the box. Quick copy and paste makes that easy. And we're going to ask them to confirm splash. Now, again, this is a training video on a live server, so I'm just going to tell the guys to ignore the mission. Alright. And that's it. That's what I've done. I've marked it as a box. I've said it's art. I've given it the example. I want Willy Pete. I want you to fill the box. And then these people are going to fire on this area, and they're going to just drop their ordnance in there. Now, the way, if you're the artillery, the way you want to act on this kind of thing, and I'll use the objective markers for this, is you want to go effectively 2 rounds or 2 shells per 100-meter grid. Okay? And we are going to make this an absolute desolation of enemy. So I'd start like this, mark it down, and then we're just going to spread the rounds out. Now, you get approximately, I believe it is 3 reloads of Willy Pete on your mortar. So we've got about 24 shells. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And we can easily smash this out a little bit more if we need to. Right, just to make sure we've killed everything. And that is effectively going to be, anything survives that, I mean, it's dead, right? So, in short, when do we use a fill the box, and when do we use a walk the line mission? Well, a walk the line is when you know that the enemy is going to be moving across a direct area, right? So let's say there's a road on this purple mark. We know that the road goes like this. So that's yellow. Let's make it easy to identify. Actually, you know what? We can use what's on the map. Nice and simple reference for you. So we've got a white road here on SSR. Okay, we know that there is enemy troop movement across here. There's a Zeus on the server at the moment. He's got some light vehicles moving down here, a couple of Type 63 tanks, some troop transports, that kind of thing. So we can just draw our fire mission here and call it in really, really quickly because we're like, yep, we want this fire mission here, and it's just going to read as, you know, art example 6 HE walk the line done. Right, and that's it. Right, and then artillery's going to fire, and he's going to read that back, and he's just going to give us a splash time and stuff. Now, there are going to be times when you're going to make mistakes. Like I rushed that, and what I didn't include was the splash time. I didn't ask for splash. Now, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get away with that. Most of the operators are going to give you the splash time anyway. However, to do this really well, you want to always ask for them to confirm splash. You always ask for confirmation. Same as when you call in CAS, you always ask them to confirm that they're doing the mission. All right. Now, when do we do the fill the box? It's when we are not entirely sure where the enemy is, and we want to make sure we destroy anything and everything in the suspected area where they are. So walk the line, we're pretty damn sure they're in this area here. I fill the box, 50-50, we think they're in this rough area, let's just saturate it. Okay. When do we use HE? HE is when we want to destroy not just infantry, but we want to be able to take out light-skinned and armored vehicles. When do we use white phosphorus? When we want to kill anything other than armor. Alright, so HE will kill Type 63 tanks, it'll kill troops, it'll kill troop transports, BTRs, that kind of thing. White phosphorus isn't going to kill your Type 63 light tank, but it is going to kill the guys on top of the tank. It is going to kill everybody inside that transport truck. It is going to kill all the guys in the BTR. It is going to kill the troops on the ground. Alright, so it's also really good for taking out AA guns. So if you think there's an AA gun firing from somewhere in this area, you're like, oh, there's an AA gun on that flag mark. Saturating that area of white phosphorus is going to destroy it. Same thing for artillery guns. You think, okay, there's an artillery piece around here somewhere, saturating that with white phosphorus is going to get rid of it. And that therein ends the lesson. So in short, if it's CAS, we are going to ask them to mark it. We're going to mark it in red. We're going to do it as we're going to put down that fat line. We're going to put down our objective. We're going to ask them for we'll put down the designator, the ordnance, and the fat line, and ask them to confirm it. And if it's artillery, we're going to do the same thing, except instead of a fat line, we're going to define it as WTL or FTB. And that is effectively it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed the video. Apologies for the length.